Is God really all good? How can a God who is all good allow bad things to happen? This is a common thought, and although we get this question typically from people who don't believe, this is also something believers secretly question and don't look for the right answer. Because when reading the Old Testament, it can certainly look like God is pretty harsh. But how do we define what good is? What is the true meaning of good? Well, when searching the Bible, there is not a verse that stands alone and answers this question. But the Bible certainly answers this question directly within the creation story. In Genesis chapter 1, we see creation begin with the waters already existing, and they are formless and without void. In other words, wild and chaotic. In God's first step in creation, he separates the waters and gives it form and order, allowing for the land to appear, which then allows for life to begin to exist. Then God says something interesting. He saw that it was good, or in Hebrew, tov. So what does good mean? Well, we just witnessed it right there. Good is when chaos gets controlled and put into order so that life can be produced. And by defining good, we automatically define evil, or ra in the Hebrew. Evil would be when order gets taken apart and brought into chaos, which produces death. So to put it simpler, good is the actions that brings life, and evil is the actions that brings death. When we continue into the creation story, we see that it was God's full intention to make a creature in his image whom he can love and they can love him back. His intention was to be in communion with mankind, not apart. Humanity was called to rule over every animal and living thing. But as they enjoy creation, there's a turn that happened. God's order turns upside down. A snake, an animal, rules over the humans and they eat from the forbidden tree. The humans allow the animal to rule, and this is the beginning of chaos for humanity. But God is persistent in his plan with being in communion with humanity. He immediately reveals his plan for humanity and tells the snake who ruled over the humans, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. This plan of the seed of the woman that will crush the snake is the first messianic prophecy. This human prophesied, whom we know as Jesus Christ, will put everything back into the order it was originally intended. Reading through the rest of the Hebrew Bible, we see that the prophecy of this Messiah is the underlying theme to the entire story of Israel. That Israel will be the nation that will bring this human. The hope of the entire world relies on them. Fast forward to 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 3, and this is what it reads. Now go and strike Amalek and devote to destruction all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. Most people would read this passage on their own and would have a lot of questions. The obvious one, how is an all-good God commanding this to happen? Well, let's think about what we have established as good. Good is order that brings life, right? And not just any order, God's order. God's intention was to be in communion with humanity. The hope for this to happen is the Messiah, who would come through Israel, right? The Amalekites were not only repulsive sinners by ways of bestiality and the sacrificing of their firstborn infants. They hated Israel and were looking to wipe them out when given a chance. If Israel gets wiped out, how can the Messiah restore the order of the world? How can humans overcome the obvious consequence of the Garden of Eden? Death. The answer is they can't, not without their Savior and the Messiah. So it was necessary and correct to do as God commanded Israel to do in this verse, due to the urgent circumstances of preserving Israel in order to bring forward the Savior of the world. Now, when you look at it through the lens of the Bible, does it seem different to you now? Do you see how God is still all good? I think you get it. Follow me for more teachings.